Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. Welcome back. Today's video is sponsored by Skillshare, an online learning community that offers over 22,000 different courses in subjects like videography, photography, and design. If you're one of the first 350 people to sign up with the link down below, you shall receive 2 months of Skillshare absolutely free. Big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now, today's recipe is one that was requested a year ago, and it is Sandra Lee's Kwanzaa cake. Now, if you're not familiar with this video recipe, it is one that was made several years ago on Sandra Lee's show called Semi-Homemade. She had it on the Food Network, and she made this recipe called a Kwanzaa cake, which has absolutely nothing really to do with Kwanzaa at all. That's not exactly true. She does include the 7 candles of Kwanzaa, but she doesn't talk anything about what Kwanzaa is. She just makes this decorative cake out of things that she bought from the store, which I'm fine with. If you want to make things from pre-made things, I am totally okay with that. What bothers me is making something that is not at all part of that tradition. If you were to make a Chinese New Year cake with dragons and all kinds of stuff and just say, "Hala, Chinese New Year cake," and then Chinese people don't even eat that cake or don't even know what that is, I find that slightly problematic. So the purpose for making this recipe is not just to bash it. Number one, I really do want to taste this concoction of pre-made ingredients. And number two, I want to learn a little bit about Kwanzaa. Sure, we talked about it in school briefly. I don't know what Kwanzaa is. So come along with me as we learn what Kwanzaa is and we taste Sandra Lee's Kwanzaa cake. So what is Kwanzaa? So Kwanzaa is a relatively new holiday. It was started in 1966 and is a way to celebrate African heritage, culture, and unity. So it's a 7-day long celebration that begins on December 26th and goes all the way to January 1st. And each day a core principle is celebrated and a candle is lit. Before we start construction of our cake, let me tell you a little bit more about Skillshare. So Skillshare is an online learning community that offers over 22,000 different courses in subjects like photography, videography, design, marketing. It's perfect for people that want to take their passion and transform it into their job. One of the things I really like about Skillshare is that I can revisit classes whenever I want, and classes don't have to be necessarily very long. For example, the class that I'm taking now is a mini class, and it's called Stop Motion Video, Create and Animate by Brock Davis. So a premium membership to Skillshare runs about $10 a month, but if you're one of the first 350 people to sign up with the link down below, you shall receive 2 months of Skillshare absolutely free. So grab a spot while you can because they go quickly. Big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now let's get on with this cake. So the first thing we're going to do is prepare the frosting. We need 1 tub of plain vanilla white frosting, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. So apparently the name Kwanzaa comes from a Swahili phrase from Matunda ya Kwanza, which means first fruits. And so Kwanzaa was inspired by harvest festivals that were practiced in Africa. So while harvest festivals were certainly an inspiration, I think the celebration of Kwanzaa is more about community and remembering your heritage, rather than just celebrating the literal fruits of the harvest. Okay, so here is our frosting. I want to be clear that this is not a cake that would be traditionally made for Kwanzaa. There is no Kwanzaa cake that is made. Now we've got a store-bought angel food cake, and we're going to try to get it out of the container. Hopefully this will pop out. Of course they don't show this on camera, right? Yeah, they don't show Sandra wrestling with a pre-made angel food cake, do they? I'm going to pierce some holes in the top of this. Maybe that will help with the suction. No, it's not. Oh, there it is. I thought it was going to be like one of my Jell-O molds, or it'd be just like, but no, here it is. It came out pretty beautifully, actually. Yes. And now we're going to cut this in half. Okay, some frosting around the middle here. Just enough to glue this back together. Now we're going to put this back on top. Give that a squanch. Now we're just going to frost this. Now that we have everything frosted, we're going to fill the middle of our cake with pre-made apple pie filling. I've never even had pre-made apple pie filling. I guess I'm going to. Oh boy. So now I'm going to remove this paper, and my cake stand should be nice and neat, mostly. So now we have to add the candles to our cake, and Sandra uses these giant tapers. So Sandra says that we should poke a hole and give our candle a place to sit. There we go. So black represents the people, and red represents the blood that was shed for freedom. I'm going to put 3 of those. And green represents the fertility of the land. And finally, to decorate this cake, we're going to add some corn nuts and some pumpkin seeds. Now, in Sandra's video, she calls corn nuts acorns. Acorns are not edible. That's not entirely true. Native peoples did use acorns, but they had to go through a very laborious process of grinding the acorns into flour and then leaching the flour to make it edible. I'm going to add these around the cake, I guess. I think she sprinkles them on the cake too. Corn nuts on a cake? Come on, really? Let's take the corn nuts off the cake. I don't like it on there. I like the candles by themselves. And pumpkin seeds too for added harvestness. Alrighty, here is the Sandra Lee Kwanzaa cake. Boy, isn't it something? Alrighty, so let's finally give this a taste. Actually, let's light the candles first. Unity, self-determination, community, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith. Let's see if I can do it without having everything topple over. Maybe the pie filling. And make sure we get some of this garnish on here too. Joyous Kwanzaa. Itadakimasu. So, it's not exactly disgusting. I mean, you've got some very familiar flavors in there. You've got the cinnamon from the apple pie filling, you've got the cinnamon in the cake frosting, and you've got a little bit of chocolate in the frosting as well, vanilla in the cake and vanilla in the frosting. So all the flavors are pretty familiar. It is just overpoweringly sweet because the cake is sweet, the frosting is sweet, and then you've got this very sweet apple pie filling. And because it's so sweet, you don't really get to enjoy anything. Also, what I find very odd is the apple pie filling. It's very cold. You've got cold, solid, wet apple pie filling with fluffy angel food cake, which is fine. I think that's probably the best part of the whole thing. And then you've got the crunchy corn nuts and the pumpkin seeds. The pumpkin seeds are fine. Kind of remind me a little bit like pecans or something. It's the corn nuts that are weird. Now, I actually do like the injection of salt in there. It kind of relieves that onslaught of sugar, but the flavor is out of context. It's like having a tortilla chip with your dessert. But having said that, corn is actually used in Kwanzaa celebrations, so it's the most authentic ingredient in this entire recipe. So cheers to the corn nut, which on their own are really good. Alrighty, so there you have it, the abomination that is the Sandra Lee Kwanzaa cake. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys learned something. Click the link down below and be one of the first 350 people to sign up with Skillshare, and you'll receive 2 months absolutely free. Big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys learned something. Please share this video with your friends and follow me on social media, and I shall see you in the next video. Toodaloo, take care, bye!